I'm Nick Torres, and I'm here with Black Student Union President Robert Wilson III. Thank you for joining us today.
No problem.
In your opinion, what needs to be done to stop police brutality?
It's a big question. Um, I feel like there's a multitude of things that can be done to try to bring an end or a halt to police brutality. First of all, I think there's the understanding and recognition that there is a problem. I think that there's a constant struggle for African Americans and movements like the Black Lives Matter movement to get people to understand that there is a problem, to get people to understand that this is legitimate and that this is something that African Americans are facing at a rate that no one else in the country is facing with the police. And I think that's the first step, to recognize that there is a problem and to get people on board with that. Two, I believe there should be a change in the training for police officers. I believe that there's too many cases of racial profiling, too many cases of people being assumed guilty prior to facts or evidence. There's a lot of suspicion that happens in the country from police officers that lead to a lot of unfortunate and irrational and truly irresponsible decisions by police officers. I feel like too many times the video evidence is there. There's always a dispute. There's always a controversy. There's always well, look at the facts, or this happened, or was he reaching, or was she doing something? There's always a question, but people need to realize that when African American people are brutalized by the police in America, this is a problem that happens on a daily basis. This is a continuous problem, and it's been happening, and it's a part of the one of the institutionalized problems that African Americans face here in America.
Do you feel like you interact with police differently as a young black man? And did your parents talk to you about these issues growing up?
Absolutely. My interaction with the police has absolutely 100% always been different than my peers around me. And when I say that, I grew up around a very diverse culture of people, had all kinds of interactions with the police in front of other cultures, sometimes and mostly alone. Those are the most dangerous interactions. Those are the ones that make it hard to sleep at night and make you not really want to walk to school the next morning. Too many times I find myself on the defense. I wonder why, first of all, I'm being stopped by a police officer. And second, I always question to myself, why am I scared? Why am I nervous? Why is there that thought that there could be something, I feel like that my interaction with the police should be the interaction that I believe all Americans should have, and it's the one that believes them to be people to protect and serve, right? And to be that force that we can rely on as a people to protect us and to keep us safe. So there's no reason that there should be that amazing contradiction that when I'm interacting with the police, I'm afraid of them, when we should be protected, when those should be a part of the safeguard in America. And personally, it would be nice to not have to feel scared. It would be nice to not feel nervous when interacting with the police. And I could be held accountable for the things I do or the things I do not do, right? There should not be any other factors bearing down on me whenever I interact with the police. So it's truly unfortunate.
Have you had any personal experiences with police?
Absolutely. I would like to speak on one case in particular. I was out in Lancaster, California. That's out in the Valley area. It was around nighttime, around 12 p.m., so it was very dark. I was getting home from an event I did on campus. It was pretty late night. I was driving with a female friend of mine. I was driving down a back street, not a highway or anything like that. The speed limit was about 55 miles an hour. I was cruising, going a little fast. I was doing 60, and an officer got behind me in a big truck, police car. He flashed his lights, and I pulled to the side, and instantly he took the light, the big light that they carry on the car, and he flashed it inside, and he got on the microphone speaker, and he told me to put my hands up, and along with my female friend in the car, so I put my hands up, and he got out the car, and the officer unhoisted his weapon, took the belt off his weapon, took the clip off his firearm, and held it, walked towards the car. And it was another officer on the right side who got out of the passenger side of the car. He did the same thing on the other side, but he didn't proceed to the passenger's window. Only the officer on my side proceeded to my window, and he asked me what I was doing. And I was astonished, out of all the questions that the officer could ask me, he asked me what I was, as if driving at night was an activity, you know what I mean, or worth questioning, and then I said, I'm going home. And he asked me where I stay, and I told him, I was staying at my female friend's house tonight. We're out in Lancaster. And he was just like, well, you're speeding. You're going way over the speed limit. I said, officer, I was not aware of my speed, but I don't believe I was going way over the speed limit. And then increasingly, he just got just blastering with me with questions. My hands are in the air the whole time. I never got an opportunity to put my hands down. Before he got to the car, I premeditatedly, I pull my wallet out every time anytime I have a police interaction. That way I don't have to reach for anything. I put my cell phone in my lap, and my wallet in my lap, so it's already there. I told him, I had my wallet was already there. He said I can pull my ID out. He took my ID, and he went back to the car, and I left my hands up. And he was at his car for about 5-6 minutes, and I sat there with my hands in the air for about 5-6 minutes. And when he finally came back, he told me to put my hands on the steering wheel, and he wrote me a ticket for speeding and sent me off. So overall, I felt like, if I was speeding and I broke a violation and that's something that happened, and a ticket is necessary. But there's no reason in the world where I feel like you should have your weapon in hand, ready to go, or I should feel like you are scared of me, or I feel like you are on the defense from me. I'm simply a college student. I was driving home. I wasn't attempting to break any laws or doing anything drastic, and I just felt like the treatment and the natural vibe of the entire interaction was highly intense. You know what I mean? So much so to where I felt like I couldn't twitch, and so much so where overall I had my hands in the air for about 10 minutes, and that was a eye-opening experience to me about what could possibly happen when you interact with the police.
Do you think the media does a good job of accurately reporting situations regarding police brutality?
The funny thing about the media and reporting cases of police brutality is that it's always temporary, and it's repetitive. It happens over and over again. You see a case, it happens, on a Monday, but Tuesday everybody's still seeing it. You see it on the news. You see representation. Wednesday they're trying to figure out what happened. They're hopefully releasing or trying to release new video angles to unveil facts or articles about a specific situation in this one instance and this one twitch to find out exactly who was at fault. Thursday, you start seeing less and less coverage, and by Friday, it's all gone, right? Or the next case, right? We're moving on to the next thing, or it's something else that's happened, or it's Donald Trump, and his huge statement that's taken over the media the next day. Honestly, a lot of the times, African-American coverage in the news, especially things that happen to us in terms of police brutality, is almost mockingly done in a way, more so to where the value, the aesthetic value of our lives, of Black lives mattering, is played with. Absolutely. I feel like media could definitely do a better job of taking those cases more seriously, representing them more seriously, presenting the facts, and also demanding. I feel like the media is a force in the country, and they can do a lot to really help to bring out, a lot of the facts, a lot of the straight cut, clear things that happen in some of these cases, and a lot of the times they focus on things that are truly not important. So,
do you think the media is making police brutality to be a bigger issue than it is?
No, I think if anything, they're not talking about it enough. That as of right now, there's already been over 200 African Americans alone killed by the police in 2016. And that's staggering. To feel that number is already rising. You know what I mean? And every single year we see the statistics go up and up and up, and you see more and more African Americans getting killed, and we're wondering what's going on. The media absolutely does not cover near any of the amount of cases that actually happens in the United States. Sometimes you hear them, it's a hit or miss. Sometimes the facts are hidden. Sometimes we don't hear about things, and there's cases that we hear that happened in 2015 and 2014, and they're just now releasing video evidence, and now it's blasted all over the news, and we're watching a video case for an entire week in 2016 from a case that happened in 2014. Meanwhile, there's 5 other cases that have happened throughout the entire week. You know what I mean? So it's continuous, and the media can't keep up. They do not keep up, and it's a part of the institutional problem in America.
How do you think the media can better give factual information to its audience?
I think the media can. I think the media has a role, and I think that once the media tries to step outside of that role, in terms of, sometimes you will hear the media bring in people, and they'll have sometimes sheriffs or experts, and they'll come in and give their 2 pieces of their segment on exactly what they believe and what they thought they seen, and a lot of times you find the media dripping in bias. There's an unbelievable amount of bias in the media. It could be because of cases that have already happened. It could be because of just the fact that we see it every single day. I'm not entirely sure why the bias is placed or why the blame sometimes is even placed on African Americans, and sometimes in cases where they have no control and sometimes where their lives are lost. You know, it's amazing to me that even when an African American life is lost, there's still blame that can be placed when sometimes they are completely innocent, and video can show and prove that they are completely innocent. So I think that the media can do a better job of being factual, being straight up, and being unbiased and presenting the information to the audience without including any of that, people's bias.
Has police brutality gotten worse, or has there just been more coverage?
I feel like every day it's getting worse. You know, as an African American myself in the country, I can never say there's been a day since, being a teenager that my mom did not, like, as you said earlier, did not prepare me to have a police interaction, a potential dangerous police interaction. And I feel like it's always been that way. But as of now, the numbers just continue to rise. We continue to see it more and more. I think there is attention being brought. I think that individually there's police departments trying to do more to sometimes better the training or better, try to figure out ways that they can try to get their police officers to better handle situations. But at the end of the day, yes, that's pretty much.
Good answer. What are your opinions on body cams, dash cams, and cell phone footage being released to the public?
Always a discrepancy. Body cams seem to be up to the discretion of the police officers when they decide to turn them on and off. I didn't even understand that when the body cams would be, forced into law, that the police officers would have an option or ability to be able to control an on its off switch on a body cam. In terms of the footage that's in the police cars, those are always held by the police department. Sometimes weeks, months. Sometimes they're never unveiled to the public. They're figuring out incidents, or they don't want the public to see something too quick and jump to an assumption, or there's something in the video that they're unsure about, or there was an audio misfill. The fact is that there's always something. I don't understand that if we have a preventative system of making sure that we have coverage of what happens with police interactions, why we can't always have clear video evidence that works, that isn't failed on, that is presented and can be presented to everyone after the police department does their investigation. And
Great answer. Thank you for joining us today, Robert.
Awesome.
Really appreciate it.
Thank you. No problem. Great to be here.